All right, ladies. Oh, wait. Y'all not supposed to see that yet. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. It's your boy ZoëTwoDots. Today's day is literally, it just changed. It's now Friday, June the 9th. So it's Friday now. And on this day is where I will embark on a trip to Florida. And I'm gonna be down there for a really, really long time. So expect some interesting videos from Florida. So I can't wait for that. But let's talk about some things that happened over the course of the past few hours, and that is this. Check this out. Trainers, we apologize for the technical issue remote raid participants encountered during the latest appearance of Yuxi, Mesmer, and Azem in 5-star raids, where basically, in case y'all wonder what happened, basically it was reported that the shiny rates for the 3 legendaries in raids were 1 out of 125 or something along those lines, which is the same shiny rates as a normal Pokemon spawning around, and then you just click on it and boom, it's shiny. You know, it's the same rates as a wild Pokemon. Now, the reason why this happened is because of the fact that they are also spawning in the wild. Granted, extremely rare to find, but they do spawn in the wild, and yes, you could get those shiny in the wild, where they have the same shiny rates as any other normal spawning Pokemon. But let's continue on though. We will return any remote raid passes that were used by trainers who participated in Yuxi, Mesmer, or Azem raids between June, the beginning of the month of June, 10 a.m. local time, and June 5th, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will also give those affected trainers an additional remote raid pass regardless of how many remote raid passes they currently have in their item bag, which is cool. In addition, we will hold a special global raid event for all trainers on Sunday, June the 11th, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. local time, where the Lake Trio will appear in 5-star raids in their respective regions. I feel like it should have been everywhere, but whatever. During the weekend of this event, from Saturday, which is Community Day, by the way, starting at midnight, to Sunday, 11:59 p.m. local time, all trainers can participate in 15 remote raids per day, which is cool. So yeah, there you go. So, and then they got more stuff on the Sunday version where, all 3 are being raids, but in their respective regions. And there gonna be some event bonuses. So they will appear more frequently in raids in their respective regions. And of course, the remote raid pass limit will be increased to 15 on Saturday and on Sunday. But that's a lot of moolah, so good luck with that. And then of course, I'm gonna say the usual. Please be aware of your surroundings, blah, 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 sign the Pokemon Go team. So there you have it. So at this point, you might have gotten your remote raid passes back. You might have been given an extra one. So there you go with that. Hopefully you check before you just start randomly using remote raid passes like I did, because I didn't check at all. So there was that. Now, so that out of the way, that's all fine and dandy. Let's move on to another thing. So again, I'm going to Orlando later today, which means tomorrow, this is happening right here. I will be doing a meetup for Active Community Day at Disney Springs. So yeah, the plan is to be there at 1:30 p.m. rather, Eastern Standard Time, and try to be there until 6 o'clock or something along those lines. So yeah, there you go with that. Again, if you want to meet up, if you want to hang out, if you want to take pictures, if you want me to sign stuff, if you want to add me on your friends list, you can all do that at Disney Springs. So if you're going, I hope to see you all there. Now let's get on to the meat of this video, and that's pretty much was me reacting to the ZoëTwoDots interview that she did with Michael from Niantic. And I'm gonna try and pronounce his last name. Michael Steranka. I probably butcher it. I apologize in advance, but yeah. So he's obviously works with Niantic, or worked for Niantic rather. And during the Shadow Mewtwo raids fiasco, he was down there in Sydney, Australia, hanging with ZoëTwoDots and Fleece King. And in the middle of all that, Zoe and Michael did a sit-down interview, and Zoe asked her a bunch of questions, whether they came from her or whether they came from the community, because she did drop a Twitter post saying, hey, Michael may be coming out here. Is there anything you want to ask him? Let me know. And yeah, people responded. So I'm not going to talk about every single thing that was covered in the interview, but I'm going to get more towards the more important stuff, like remote raiding and, rural areas and PvP and things of that nature. So let's start up with the first question, which was this. And they may ask me for not the question, but let's talk about the reason why he was out there. Again, one of the reasons why he was out there, he wanted to make sure that the Shadow Mewtwo raids work. And if they didn't, then he would be on the spot, for blame, and he can also react quickly. So there's that. Then also, let's move on to the first question that was asked here, and which was this. Does Niantic actually listen to community feedback? And then he says yes from online and offline communities. Okay, so be it. Again, I'll say this. It don't seem like it, but if he says so, then, you know, it is what it is. Take his word for it. You know, so there's that. Next up, he also said the feedback isn't the only thing that is used as a factor when it comes to the tough decisions that are made. That I can agree with. So, and you know, I said this from time to time as well when it comes down to those who are able to get in contact with Niantic and to give feedback to Niantic, like myself, just because the likes of a Training Tips or Mystic 7 or ZoëTwoDots or Atlanta Alpha or True Inferno are able to get in contact with Niantic and give them feedback, whether it's from us or whether it's from you guys, that does not mean that Niantic will take the feedback and put it into work. That's not given. So keep that in mind. And also, he also said, well, not much is said after that piqued my interest. So there you go with that. Now let's move on to another interesting question, which is dev diaries. And he believed that the dev diaries got a mixed response from the community. There's some people liked it, there's some people who don't. He also said that, you know, they should have came out with an announcement that dev diaries was going to be slowing down because, you know, it was a lot to do. He did admit that it was a lot to do. He also said that, you know, dev diaries will come back at a certain point, but, you know, the plan is to bring it back when it makes sense with the timing. So if there was something that was like going to be featured soon and there was more information needed to be given, that's when the dev diaries should be out, and that would make sense. So I agree with that. No issues there, none at all whatsoever. Next question. Oh, now we get into the juicy stuff right here. They talked about remote raid pass limit and price changes. So he talked about, you know, not wanting people to do raids from home as it is not healthy, and he doubled down on that. Because remember, he was interviewed from E.Sports and IGN, and he basically said the same thing. And again, as a response to that, I have to say, again, with all due respect, who the heck are you to determine what's healthy for us? You know? So I had to say that. Double down on that. I had to double down on that. He also talked about that the value of the remote raid passes in comparison to regular raid passes, you know? And I had to think about it. I'm like, you have a point. Because, yeah, you're pretty much getting the same stuff from raiding at home as you would from raiding outdoors, which takes more effort to do. That is a good point. So, okay, I can see why remote raid passes should be worth more than an in-person raid. I can see that, because that makes sense. Because again, you're getting the same rewards, you're getting the same legendary, whether it's shiny or not. You're getting the same items. The difference is you're not going anywhere, you're not driving anywhere, you're not risking your gas money, and in some cases, you're not risking your life. And you know, you may or may not find somebody at the gym when you show up there. So there's a lot that goes into going out and doing an in-person raid as opposed to just kick it back at home and doing it. Just wait for an invite to pull up. That's a good point. That's a good point. Granted, I still do not agree with how much they are charging for remote raid passes. But at the same time, I do agree that remote raid passes, based on that logic, should be worth more than a regular raid pass. I do agree on that notion. Now, he also brought up that basically you brought everything you're getting. Yeah, and basically the same thing that I said. You know, he brought that up as well. So there was that. And then, of course, he mentioned bundles that will include remote raid passes. So they're going to be bundles in the future where they will include remote raid passes. We'll get more on that in a second as well. Now, the next thing that was asked or talked about was this. You know, ZoëTwoDots brought up the needs, which are, you know, in terms of needs for remote raiding, you know, those who are disabled, those who live in unsafe areas, you know, those who don't have the, well, and those who are affected by red alerts. So those are needs in terms of why you need to do remote raid. So again, you may be disabled, you may be stuck in bed for whatever reason, you may live in an unsafe area where if you go out, you could get shot or worse. So there's that. So those are needs in terms of why you need to do a remote raid, as opposed to, but she also brought up the wants in terms of why you want to do remote raid. Raiding with friends online. And of course, the luxury of raiding from home. Those are more wants as opposed to needs. And basically what he said was this, like he worried that people try to enjoy the entire game from home without going out, which is let's be honest, that is a concern. Because, I mean, the name of the game is called Pokemon Go, which means, you know, the main focus of the game is to go out and go and play the game. So there's that. Like the majority of the game, like there's some parts of the game that you can't do that. PvP, for example, in terms of like actually taking part in battles and things of that nature. In GBL, you can't be moving and doing this at the same time because you're gonna be looking now, bumping into stuff. So you have to be sitting still somewhere. So outside of PvP, everything else, okay. If you want to say, yeah, go out and play the game, cool. Oh, you know, totally on board with that. So there you go with that. And then he also talked about Pokemon Go's vision is to go out and discover what comes. And he also said that that is more valuable than those who cannot go out. So there you have it, folks. If you can go out, just go out. But if you can't, then you're SOL. That's pretty much the gist of it right there. For any reason, if you can't go out and do raids or whatever the case may be, you're SOL for that time being. That's pretty much the gist of it. And that's pretty much what I got from his response there. And then again, he brought up, oh wait, no, I'm going back in line. He also talked about not wanting to compete with mobile games and devices like the Switch and Beam Stream Deck and etc. And I call cap on that. So whether you were playing Pokemon Go from home or whatever the case may be, like, I don't look at a Nintendo Switch like a device like the Nintendo Switch or the Steam Deck or wherever that's similar to those devices as competitors for a mobile game. I just don't. Like, yeah, both, whether you play it on your Switch or on your mobile phone, they still gaming. But, like, let's be real. Like, what, like, okay, like, mobile gaming, there are competitive natures in mobile gaming. Obviously, Pokemon Go at Worlds, things of that nature. But, let's be real. Like, a game system like the Switch or the Steam Deck, that's totally different than gaming on your phone. They are not competing against each other. In my opinion, they're not. So I call cap on that. Like, I just don't see the competition there. And then he referred, like, I'm not sure he did it on purpose, but like he calls it wants versus needs as opposed to how Zoe presented it, which is wants and needs. Like, the wants and needs are on the same side, but yet he presented it as if the wants were going against the needs. And it was like, no, that's not what was going on there. So yeah, that was a major issue, mishap rather, on his part. Again, I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but it is what it is. Let's move on. The next thing that they talked about was the fact that was there any intentions to remove remote rating at all. And he said that there's never were any intentions to remove remote rating, which is interesting. And he also admits that, and this is funny, he admits that he had an online raid community, but hasn't raided as much since the changes were made. And I'm like, that should tell you something. That should tell you something there. And then also he mentions Wayfarer and an ambassador program to help with rural areas. And the thing about that is that I'm gonna say this, and that is this. That's not the definitive answer for every single rural area. Now, granted, rural areas are different because there's just some places that don't have a lot of people that play Pokemon Go. There's other places that are just not safe to play Pokemon Go. And then there could be other reasons why there's not a lot of people that play Pokemon Go in the rural areas, wherever the case may be, or there's not a lot of Pokemon Go activity going on in other rural areas. So every area is different, but to say, oh, to fix that, you just need to have Raid Finder and an ambassador out there and you'll be straight for the most part. And I'm like, no, that's not correct. That's not correct at all. So there's that. Now, another thing that was brought up was the future for rural players and disabled players. And he did admit that he is working, but they are working on something for the rural players and the disabled players. So that's good. That's good. So there's hope for rural players and there's hope for disabled players. So hopefully we get to hear something about that this year. So there's that. Now, one question that was brought up was why new features weren't brought out before the remote raid changes. And basically he was saying, like, he used an analogy of, get rid of the Band-Aid. It's like, and then, get rid of the bad stuff, clean it up, and then put a new Band-Aid on there. So basically he's saying, yeah, let's get the bad stuff out the way first. In this case, that would be, yeah, remote raiding is going to be heavily declined. That's pretty much the bad thing. But then the good thing is, like, they did announce there's going to be a bunch of features coming to the game throughout the year. So that's the good stuff. So with all the good stuff coming later, hopefully we'll offset the bad stuff, which is the near demise of remote raiding. That's what I'm calling it, the near demise. So we'll see what new feature. Well, I seen one. That's all I'm gonna say. But we'll see what else is coming this year. So there's that. Moving on. Now, Michael himself also brought up, people saying that local communities is dead. And then it led to, the question of when will Campfire be fully available. Now, he mentioned that he spoke to someone while in Sydney that stopped playing the game in 2016, but lately he's, this person seen a lot of people doing raids, which made him uninstall the game. And Michael pointed out like something like that wouldn't happen if he would have stayed at home. And I call cap on that because here's why. There's a few things called YouTube videos. You're watching one right now. There's a few things called Twitch streams. Mine's down there. Twitch.tv/2_Inferno. Make sure you follow me. I'm trying to get up to 1,300 followers. There's a few things called Twitter posts and Instagram posts and Facebook posts if you use Facebook and TikTok posts. So he could easily be online and then could be, could stumble upon a Pokemon Go post, or it could have been recommended a Pokemon Go video or a Pokemon Go stream and would have checked it out and would have seen all the amazing things going on with the game, and that could have inspired him to uninstall the game. So to say, to get that experience, you can only get it from being out and about, that's serious cap. I'm calling cap on that, and in case y'all don't know what cap means I'm gonna dumb it down. Cap is basically saying that's BS. That's pretty much what cap means. So I'm calling cap on that because that experience that he got from watching people playing outside in person, he could easily gotten it from the comforts of his own home by being online and just stumbling upon a video, a live stream, a post of some kind of social media, just like he stumbled upon people playing the game. So I call serious cap on that. Now, moving on, he also said local communities should show the initiative to go out and start meetup sessions and create groups and things of that nature. And they should do that, but not everybody is willing to do that or is personality wise is capable of doing that, because not everybody is not a get out and go get a type of person. So that don't apply to everybody. There's some people, what they call it, introverts and stuff like that. Like I'm not all up on that, but there's some people who are like, yo, I don't like to talk to people. I don't like to hang around people too much. I'm not a vocal person. I'm not the leader type of guy. For example, Kyrie, he's not a leader, but nevertheless, let's move on. So to say that, show some initiative and then go out and, be a leader. It's like, not everybody's capable of doing that. Or not everybody wants to do that. Or it shouldn't get to the point where people should do that. So, or people shouldn't have to change who they are to do that. So there's that as well. So I call it a little bit, I disagree on that one, pretty much. And then he brought up, the online communities, go back to online community, and basically saying, well, yeah, the online community, they can send gifts, and, they can, work with the Vivian, how you pronounce that thing. And then he basically said it, local communities are pretty much, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, in his word, in his opinion, local communities are more valuable than online communities. So, and I said this in, response to the interview that he did with .esports and IGN. Sending gifts is not exactly a fun factor. I might be speaking for others, I don't know, but sending gifts is not a fun factor. Like, if I want to see what another area in the world looks like, I can go to YouTube. I can just Google search it and find pictures or videos or even live streams. It's not that hard to do. So the whole gift thing is not the main reason why there's an online presence in Pokemon Go, and that's not going to carry the online presence in Pokemon Go. That's not enough. And like I said in the last video when I reacted to the interview, PvP ain't it either, because as fun as PvP is, the core Pokemon Go player does not do PvP. They don't. They just don't. I'm not saying every single Pokemon Go player don't, which is a lot, not true at all. I mean, there's a regional this weekend, so that's not true at all. But the majority of Pokemon Go players do not engage in PvP. So that's out as well. And the Pavilions joints, okay, yeah, that's cool. But once you get them all, then you're done with them. So, which brings me to my next point. Are there going to be features that's going to be tailored towards online communities? You know, to get the online communities together. Now, obviously not in person, but to, you know, have that fun factor, the fact that was once there with rating. And he said this year, mostly no, which is a problem. That is a problem. So basically, in my opinion, for this year only, unless something changed, for this year only, there's no point in having an online community. That's pretty much what I got from that. I may be going overboard by saying that, but based on everything that I said, you can't, you know, obviously you can still do remote raids with your friends online that you met online that you won't see anytime soon, but it's $5 per day and the prices are high. So if you're not willing to do that, then the online communities for this year are pretty much a wrap for this year. Like, there's no point in engaging in an online community in Pokemon Go, that is. There's no point. Because, again, everything that I provided to you, in combination with what he said as well. Like, online communities for this year is donezo in Pokemon Go. Just for this year. Maybe we can glimpse of the future where the online communities can be brought together again, you know, without the need of remote raiding. But until that time comes, online communities in Pokemon Go are pretty much dead and are not necessary. That's the gist of what I got from this interview. Now, moving on. So the next thing that was talked about was that, you know, they brought up the Shadow Raids and using Purified Gems to defeat Shadow Raid bosses to help rural players. And here's the problem with that. Not everybody have Pokestops to battle Team Go Rocket, nor gems to beat level 1 gym raid bosses to get their hands on the shards. Because remember, if you battle a Grunt and you win, you get 1 shard. If you battle a leader, you get 3 shards. If you battle Giovanni, you get 4. But now, granted, you got the balloons, and you get 3 of those per day. But that's 3 shards per day, so it's like, you want more than that. So like 3 shards per day, and then you get 4 shards to get a Purified Gem. So you're gonna get 15 shards from Monday through Friday, and then out of that, you're gonna get 3. So now, granted, once Saturday comes, you can get more shards from doing the legendary raids, but you want to go in the weekend with more than just 3 gems, to be honest. Purified gems, I mean to say. So there's that. Like, there needs to be like more there to help out the rural players when it comes to the shadow raids, especially the legendaries, and to a degree the tier 3s. I still believe that the tier 3s are tough to beat solo. So, and especially, really, I'm gonna go as far as to say it's impossible to do unless you use a Purified Gem. But the problem is, you need the Purified Gem for the tier 5s. So you can't be racing them on the tier 3s. So, I mean, there's that. And again, not everybody have a local community to do Shadow Rage raid. For example, Mass Aqua Kid is a prime example of that. So there's that issue. And then, and it's something that Mr. Seven brought up, he was out in Alaska. There should not be a limit on how many Purified Gems you can have, and there should not be a limit on how many Purified Gems you can use. Because remember, the limit is 10, but there's loopholes to get it past 10. Like you can have 11. One point in time I had 12, maybe 13, but really the limit is 10, which is bogus. There should be no limit at all. And then the limit that you can use per raid, tier 5 and tier 3 that is 5. And I'm like, there shouldn't be a limit there as well, especially if you go into a raid, a tier 5 raid, and there's like 2 of you or 3 of you. You're gonna need more than 5, especially if you don't have powered up raid counters. So you're gonna need more than 5. So there should be no limit at all. I think that was bogus as well. And that goes against, what he was talking about. So, oh yeah, you gotta use strategy with the Purified Gems, especially if there's not a lot of y'all. I'm like, well, the problem is there's a limit, which was not brought up in the interview. So that's somewhat of a fail, I'll be honest. So there's that. And then, okay, I talked about that as well. I just talked about that. So let's move on now. Okay, so now we get to the point where it's like, this doesn't affect me as much, but I still want to bring it up anyway. So, and that is this. does Niantic sells your location data? And this is actually a pet peeve of his when people ask that question. And he flat out says no. And like he would say, like the most that they would do with your data is they'll go to a sponsor and say, yo, here's how many times your Pokestop was spawned. As opposed to saying, person A right there, who is black and ran all black, spun your Pokestop 17 times. No, they don't do that. They just say, hey, your Pokestop was spun this amount of times, and that's it. They don't sell your data or anything like that. So hopefully that would, well, you know, there's some people who haven't seen the interview or won't even see this video, it would still be asking a question, and it's like, no, they do not sell your data. That is a bad rumor, whatever the case may be. They just don't sell your data. Just leave it at that. Now, he also talked about the mission, like it's a mission-driven company, which is true. Because, and also he brought up the same thing that I've been saying time and time and time again, and that is this. There have been times where Niantic could have easily came out and made a decision that not only we would like, but it would make them a lot of money. But they said no. There's been times where that happened. And he brought that up as well. Again, I don't remember the examples off the top of my head, but there has been times, more than once, where they could have easily made more money than they are right now if they would have done this, and we would have loved it, but they didn't do it. Because they are a mission-driven company. And again, I said this before, I said it again. Like there's some cases where like they made some decisions and I'll be like, yeah, y'all kind of look greedy for it, but ultimately I don't believe Niantic to be a greedy company, especially not compared to EA and 2K Sports and 2K Interactive and other video game companies. What's it? Activision Blizzard's another one. So I don't want to hear that. And oh, here's another good one. And Nintendo. So yeah, to say Niantic is greedy, I'm like, nah, bro. You like Pokemon Go must be the only game that you played in if you're saying that. So there's that. Now, another question that was brought up was this. Is Niantic spreading thin due to other games coming out or other games that they got going on right now? Like for example, NBA All Worlds and Peridot or Pikmin, whatever the case may be. And he basically said no. Like they got their own teams for those games. Like, you know, NBA All World got their own team. Peridot got their own team. Pikmin got their own team, and etc. So nobody is being removed from Pokemon Go to work on other games or anything like that. Now, they also brought up, you know, what's being done about the whole New Zealand and Australia being guinea pigs. What I mean by that is, like, anytime, for the most part, there's a new feature, those areas in the world, they're not working for them. They're not working for them. So it's a high priority for them to reduce those errors, which is part of the main reason why he was out there doing the Shadow Mewtwo raids, and apparently there was no issues in regards to that, or no serious ones in regards to that. So there's that. And then they talk about PvP. So basically, you know, one of the questions was, or basically saying that PvP community felt ignored for a really long time. And he acknowledged that they pretty much messed up when it comes to the PvP community going back to last season, where the meta was really stale, and they decided to change the meta like the season going into Worlds. So last year, going into Worlds, they didn't change the meta at all, but it's, you know, because of that reason, yo, Worlds is coming up. But despite that, the community was like, yo, change the meta. So they did it this year. And, you know, apparently the PvP community liked the meta. So that's the start in a good direction right there. And also I want to point out that Michael is a PvP guy, so he really do take point PvP. He hit Legend at least once. I don't know how many times, I don't remember how many times he hit it, but I know he hit it at least once. So there's that, because you know, there was evidence of this posted in the interview as well. So there was that. He also said that they would continue to keep an eye on the PvP community and the whole PvP situation, Go Battle League going forward. And he also mentioned that there's more play Pokemon stores that are coming, where you can go there, you can compete, and points to try and compete for Worlds. So that's pretty cool as well. And there was other questions and other topics that they talked about, but I felt like that they were not as important to the point where I'm gonna be reacting to them. So if you want to see those, the link to the entire interview will be in the description box below. So grab a snack and a drink, because this is like an hour-and-a-half long interview. I see the whole thing from start to finish, by the way. So again, with some of the responses they gave, I'm like, I agree with, or I look at it and say, okay, they made sense. And then there's others where I'm like, I'm calling cap on it, or I disagree, and he was right, you know. So it was half and half with in regards to his reactions and his responses to the topics and the questions that was brought up. And I thought Zoe did a really good job with the interview. The only nitpick I would say is like, I felt like she should have, like, not strongly, but nevertheless she should have retaliated more to some of the answers and the reactions that he gave to the questions and topics that were brought up. So, but outside of that, I felt like that it was a really good interview that she did. And again, the link to that interview will be in the description box below. So I'm gonna call it a wrap because I need a pack and I'm losing my voice. So with all that said, y'all know who this is. This is boy New Chick Ass Pete, aka New Stupid A Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah. Subscribe. Thanks, man. Do it. After you subscribe to the channel, make sure you click the bell icon so you never miss a new video or a live stream ever again. Thanks, guys.
Blue is the trainer, articulating paint. With my tongue, I done things that people said I can't. Now they ranking with the elite, but it's for the people, and victory is part of defeat. Cause when you get back on your feet, then you try again. Learn from mistakes, show them that I got what it takes, and I'm dying to win. I'ma hit and move away.